We have number 4. Okay, thank you, Rosie. It's been a little while since we looked at a comic, so we got a little bit of time left in stream. I'm gonna look at a random comic page. Number 4 is this one. This is I've never been a fan of the X-Men, but I'm a fan of Frank Quitely. So we'll look at this. You're also not a huge fan of the X-Men. They're too overly dramatic. Yeah, I liked the cartoon as a kid, but the comics never. When I came into comics, it was right after like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld. I think it was in the Age of Apocalypse series. It was just too much for me that age. I always liked Fantastic Four better. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we'll look at this page here, and let's think about how this page works. This is something I like to do from time to time. Is just take a random comic off the shelf, open to a random page, and think about what the artist was doing and how it works. Sort of storytelling, compositional. It's a very simple page. I always you see these a lot. This kind of shape at the top. I think this is an artifact of the printer. I never know what it's for. I don't know if any of you have that knowledge. This you can I guess you can see this purple rectangle at the top. But that affects how I look at the page. Any of you have any thoughts on this page? Do chime in. The figure is basically right in the middle with this flower, kind of an L. This figure makes a little L with the flower. I guess that's the focal point. If we flipped it, maybe we would have this shape. I always, well, not always, but I often will do this in my compositions. Put a strong shape in one of the corners. So this definitely leads us in. We got the black of the shadow, which merges with the black of the page. I also love when comics do this. Instead of having a white gutters and a white page, it's black. I like using black in my work, so I like the black gutters. So that brings us right in from the gutter, that shape, and into here. We come through right into the head of the character. So all the energy is taking us from this page up through right to here. We got the figure. There's some storytelling, I guess, that is involved with that. And then the word balloons. Always interesting move, having multiple tails coming off of the balloon. I get why they're doing it, and I'm sure it makes sense for this character. I think the inconsistency in the width of where the tail meets the balloon, I think, throws me. It draws attention to itself. So maybe that bugs me a little bit. Also interesting that they're lettering this with uppercase and lowercase. I think that was a shift that happened at some point after I stopped reading comics a lot. When I was growing up, it was all caps, and I think that was probably for readability. Maybe the technology got better and they are able to do it more consistently, upper lowercase, or maybe more people are used to reading upper and lowercase, so they switched. But I don't like it because it's not what I grew up with. But I can see why people do. It's a little tight here too. I wonder if the letterer is on this. This was written by Grant Morrison, art by Frank Quitely. I guess Avalon Studios did. I wonder what they did. Finishes, or maybe backgrounds or something. Colors by Chuckry. And Richard Starkings and Comicraft's Albert Deschesne for letters. Richard Starkings is a long time celebrated digital letterer. I actually took a course with him when I was in art school. It was one of the we had a few online courses, and back in 2003 or 2004, and Richard Starkings was the teacher of that. So that's always interesting. Yeah, that is kind of weird, this bit. It's the same color as her hair too. I wonder if it is her hair. Maybe she loops the hair around and ties it with it. I don't know. That is kind of odd. The last angel is emphasized by its width differential in the border. Oh, you mean here? Yeah, the emphasis, yeah. So the main, this is something to think about. That's a good point, Crochet. On a page, like, what's the most important panel? What are all the other panels in support of? You don't have to construct a page that way, but thinking about it that way is an interesting thing to do. So I guess this would be, the main the main thing. Like, we've gone through this, and this is where we end up with this kind of resolve, crushing the flower, and yeah, having the extra border there to emphasize it. That's a good point. I think the black line is too long too. I don't know. That's just my personal taste. I like maybe smaller. I think this is a good proportion, and not so long on the tail. It tapers out too long for me, I think. Just this black. Like, this is a perfect kind of a balloon tail for me. I can see the jaw muscles working. Effective likeness, which is, yeah, quietly is excellent, and I think the colorist probably did a lot of work on this part too. I wonder if he went in with a pencil and did some shading on that as note, but yeah, you can really see the structure, and like, yeah, she's kind of working the jaw there. All three of the girls are one person. Yeah, they speak in unison. I think it's 4 over here. Although there's only 3 tails. No, I understand why they do it. I think it's a little bit, I don't know. I feel like it could be, it's just distracting to me. Like, why is this one so big? We're not looking at this page. Why is this one smaller and these two bigger? That's a problem for me personally. The flowers are the only strong, warm color. Oh yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, if we're thinking about the color, we have this mostly green, and then the figures are basically all gray, this blue-gray, and then we have the red complement of the green to draw our attention to it, right? Because it's such a small thing here, and yet when I started talking about this panel, this was the first thing I noticed was this shape. So just have a little splash of red among all of that really does bring attention to it. It was fantastic when it was all caps, made it easier for your dyslexic but to be able to read it. Yeah, I agree, Ursa. I prefer it all caps. But like Liv and most Taiwanese who I've talked to about it, like, they cannot read all caps because they learn how to read upper and lowercase, and they learn the shape of the word. And so, like, if something is written in all caps, Liv has a really hard time trying to read it. And so I think Western comics for an international, maybe a non-native English-speaking audience, this makes more sense. So we go through, we read the word balloon. This angle is good because we read here, and then we're already moving back in this direction to read this one. We come back down probably to there, and then the angle of the figure in a nice line with those word balloons. Yeah, that's really good here. That axis. The word balloons through the flower right into the figure there. That strong diagonal. We get the reaction here coming down through. The stem is going this way with a couple dots there of the grass, bringing us back up, down through here. Again, the stem bringing us down into the word balloon, into the figure. We see that strong jaw action going on, and then the dramatic moment. I'm noticing the treatment of the grass. This is something really hard for a lot of artists. It used to be really hard for me when you're starting out, especially, I think. Like, how do you not draw every single blade of grass and still make it read as grass? Here, just doing that texture around the shadow is a good way to do it, and just a few of these black spots. And I think these black ticks would all be compositional. And you can see here, the black dots make like an arc around the figure that way. Beautiful trees in the background too. And the shape here leaves this open area for the balloon and probably for the gaze. And we frame the head back there. Grass on page 8 is beautifully variegated, cool, receding, and warm advancing. Oh yeah, interesting there, Crochet. Good eye on the color. Yeah, it's cooler in the back. It's more yellow here. It's a cool yellow, but compared to the bluish green, Yeah. It's a pretty simple way to show depth. And to get, like, they show just enough of this, like, hedge and here. Like, we have a pretty good idea of where we are. If we hadn't seen this page, we still have a pretty good idea with just a little bit of background information. But it doesn't take away at all from the figures or the main action. The red is a nice touch, adds something that is important, and it grows from frame to frame. Oh, that's a good eye, too. I hadn't noticed that, Joe. That's really good. Yeah, it starts off with a little spot, and then each panel gets bigger and bigger. Ooh, that's exciting. I like that. It really leads us through. They have, they call it the inverted S. So this is a regular S. When you read a comic page, you do, like, the Z. This is a good kind of moving the eye through the page. This is a new X-Men number 138 from May of 2003 by Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely. Quitely's line art and digital coloring go really well together. Some artists don't fit well with digital coloring. I think my work in digital coloring is tricky. It's a tricky combination. But Quitely's pencils, I don't know if he penciled this traditionally or digitally, but his pencils, like his traditional pencils, are so almost digital, like they're so clean that I think it's a really good fit. And Quitely is an amazing artist, so check out his work. You don't want to deprive yourself of Frank Quitely. Let's just say that. But if you're like me and you like animals, maybe avoid We 3. Check out All-Star Superman.